So 2023, I believe that we can all agree here that it was indeed the absolute worst year in Disney history, especially when it comes to films. We have witnessed box office failure one after the other, with the latest one being, by the way, Wish, which was Disney's last saving grace to actually ending the year off with a successful film that ended up being a complete disaster. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also find me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. Now, as for 2024, Deadpool 3 is now considered their saving grace of that year when it comes to box office results and performances at the theaters. Now, we know that Deadpool 3, where it stands right now, is the only MCU project releasing for 2024 after all of the delays and all the shifts within the MCU for multiple factors. Now, one thing about Deadpool 3 that I think is beginning to worry a lot of Deadpool fans that have a lot of faith in the third installment has a lot to do with the creative differences that are rising between Ryan Reynolds, the writers, and the Disney higher-ups, and how it's really impacting the production. Even though Ryan Reynolds did say that he's very happy with this product and how it's coming along so far, there are other areas which Ryan is actually very infuriated over, based on what Bob Iger and the board of directors are forcing upon the creatives. Let's get into all of this. Now, interestingly enough, we know that Deadpool 3 is going to be a very big, multiverse-esque film. That's exactly why you're going to have so many different cameos thrown into this thing, and I think what this movie has going for it is not just the fact that it's Deadpool, but you got Wolverine returning, portrayed by Hugh Jackman, where everyone thought he was done for in the last Wolverine film, Logan. Alright, I don't know if you guys saw it. Great film, by the way, in my book. Ended things off. We all thought Hugh was done. Here he is, he's back, but in the MCU, so to speak, by Disney. Now, what's interesting about this moving onwards is that with Ryan Reynolds actively dealing with creative differences for Deadpool 3 from the Disney higher-ups that are now creating complications for the 24 film, one major development has to do with Reynolds' intense reaction to the ongoing conflicts between himself, the writers, taking a stand against Disney. As it turns out, Ryan, Rhett, Reese, and Paul Wernick are falling into creative fallouts with Disney's higher-ups over the third act of the film that is being pushed by Iger and the board to insert some level of presence for their DEI agenda. This ranges from dialogue changes and script alterations before filming scenes for the third act begin. Now, reshoots are also being instructed by Disney for scenes within the second act in order to fine-tune Deadpool 3 by deleting some offensive scenes that were written and filmed that Disney had a change of heart about. And though Ryan has been impressed with much of the film and its process, as of late, true, of course, scenes that have already been filmed are either being forced by Disney to get deleted and or to be completely rewritten and refilmed to insert more DEI into the future. To make matters worse for the writing team of Deadpool 3, Disney recently forced Reynolds to cancel out some specific scenes that have yet to have been filmed that would contain specific surprise cameos. Though these cameos are not clear, they were reportedly from the SSU, aka the Sony Spider-Man universe, that got shelved. Reynolds is also fighting with Disney, with writers Rhett and Paul backing him up, where Disney is now cutting back on their funds for Deadpool 3's marketing and more tight limitations for funds on future scenes to be shot. This includes set builds and more. Filming is still aimed to end by the beginning of 2024, however these setbacks are creating more complications with a potential delay. Now, Reynolds even wanted to film at some locations in his home country of Canada. Specific locations that Ryan was pushing for were completely rejected by Disney on the spot, and those like Iger, of course, and even Marvel Studios boss Kevin Feige is also a big part of this problem moving onwards, as Kevin agrees with everything that Bob Iger is pressing for Deadpool 3. Now guys, let me just say one thing about this before I get to the big conclusion about what's going on here between Reynolds and Disney's higher-ups. Now, we know that Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick are thankfully backing up Ryan with everything that they have. They want to make sure that Deadpool 3 is going to be the feature that we love. They want to make sure it's going to have the same spirit as the first film. And to be honest, guys, I don't know if I shared this with you before, but I still believe to this day that Deadpool 1 outperforms the second. That's just my opinion. And if 3 can't outnumber or become superior than the second film, that's when you know you have a really big problem on your hands. So the fact that we have Rhett, Reese, and Paul Wernick working with Ryan Reynolds in this constant battle against the Disney higher-ups, trying to prevent them from inserting this DEI and ESG nonsense into Deadpool 3, is beginning to show you exactly how relentless Bob Iger truly is, and how relentless the board of directors really are. But it's not just them. We all have to remember, and I always say this, you gotta remember the top shareholders, BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street, pressing all of these agendas into the entertainment field. Now, what's even worse about this situation is that we know that Deadpool 3, where it stands right now, is still slated for that July of 2024 release date, specifically on the 26th. Now, if they keep on creating more complications, there is a potential delay happening with production in early 2024 that could create a ripple or domino effect, leading to another delay by a month or two. That's very possible. However, let's move on. Now, on top of this is also, of course, involving much to do with the deletion of scenes, cameos, and plot choices for the film that Disney is now shying away from, including drastically reducing the running time. Even a moment in which Wade breaks the fourth wall and takes a jab at Disney was excluded from the script that was supposed to be the big moment in the second act. However, Iger and the board felt that this directly mocked Disney and wouldn't be a good marketing move for the film within itself. Now, guys, we talked about this too. There was supposed to be a scene in Deadpool 3 in which Wade visits Disney World and specifically addresses the audience that this is now a Disney movie and that, you know, they're going to be dealing with changes and stuff like that. Kind of like breaking the fourth wall. In case you guys have no idea what that means, it's really kind of directly acknowledging that there's an audience watching the film and acknowledging Disney's reputation, their terrible track record. They wanted to kind of make a little bit of a joke out of that, a little poking fun at Disney, and they weren't having it. We talked about this months ago when it was in the early stages, when they were kind of writing that into the script, and now they just totally took it out of the story. They want nothing about it. So it goes to show you that Bob Iger and the Disney board of directors want nothing mocking them, even if it's by their own creative team, especially if it's a film. You know, because at the end of the day, they probably thought, and this is just how they probably thought, they are so out of touch with reality, they probably thought that this was going to create some sort of self-sabotage, when in reality, it would have been perfection for Ryan Reynolds to throw that into the film, to poke fun at Disney World, as Wade. So, there's a lot of things going on with this film. In fact, they are connecting it to Fantastic Four 2025 in several ways. We have a lot more to discuss on that. But anyway, guys, if you guys all enjoyed the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.